In this video, I'm going to talk about get tenant settings command available as a part of Microsoft Power Apps PowerShell. Now, this command basically gets the tenant settings value for your specific tenant. Now, there are options like walk me opt out, disable net promoter score comments reach out, disable newsletter send out. Now, all the settings can be configured using Power Apps PowerShell only. Now, there are some useful commands over here, like say if you want to disable environment creation by non-admin users, if you want to disable portal creation by non-admin users, if you want to disable the survey feedback or survey screenshots, or disable the trial environment creation by non-admin users, disable capacity allocation by environment admin, disable support ticket visible by all users. You can do that using this tenant setting. Now, why would you use the settings? Now, in the UI for Power Platform Admin Center, you may not find some of the settings. So, this is the only way through which you will be able to disable all those configurations. Now, these are the list which are currently available. Now, some of the things like environment creation by say non-admin users. Now, some of them will be available as a part of Power Platform Admin Center configuration in the UI. Portal creation by non-admin users, survey feedback, survey screenshot, trial environment creation by non-admin users. Now, these all informations can be automated as well. So, if you for your organization's tenant, if you want to say create an application which will, at the start of provisioning of tenant, if you create a Windows application whereby you just ask an admin to create a login to that system and then run this command, then based on the governance parameter set by your organization, you will be able to get the information and then you can set or turn it on or off. So this is one of the use case which I can tell it to you. Now, set tenant settings, again, get tenant setting will get the information, set tenant setting will override the information. Now, it's not a simple thing. It's you just not just say if it's false make it true, but then you need to pass it as a part of the request body. So you need to create a variable. So I've created a variable called as request body, and then take the parameter and then assign it another variable which is of type true or false, and then enclose that in a curly braces. Okay, and then once you do that, you will be able to set that tenant setting. So this is how you basically use the get and set tenant settings. Now, this is the Microsoft documentation. So let's look into the documentation. It says get dash tenant settings, and from here Microsoft has provided you this command. You can copy this command and then you will be able to see all the tenant setting for the organization. Now, what it does is like it basically calls an API, and then you need not specify the parameters of the API version, but then it defaults to 1.11.2016, right? So first thing, what you need to do, you need to open PowerShell. Now, I've already opened PowerShell. Now, this is a PowerShell I've run as an admin center. PowerShell I've run as an administrator. Now, this Windows PowerShell, I can use Windows PowerShell or I can use Windows PowerShell ISE, but I'm going to show this information as a part of Windows PowerShell. What you need to do is once you install Power Apps or PowerShell. Now, if you do not know how to do that, look into my all the videos related to Power Apps PowerShell. I have given you an introduction about how to go ahead and install Power Apps PowerShell for administration and Microsoft.Windows.PowerShell command execution. So I've given you some introductory commands which are part of PowerShell and part of Power Apps PowerShell. So that will help you get started. Now, once you're done with that, you reach into the state, you just need to run the command. Okay, that is get dash tenant settings, right? Now, before you even run this command, there is one more command which you need to know that once you run the PowerShell, there is command called as add Power Apps account. Now, once you do that, you'll be logged into the system so that you get the context of the tenant which you're working on, right? So I have already run this command, so that's good for me. I will just run the command get tenant settings. If you do not know the command, just type get dash tenant and then just tab out, and then you will be uh, getting this output. So get dash tenant settings, these are the things which you can set on or off. Like false, I can make it true. For anything which is true, I can mark it as false. And from a Power Platform perspective, it will give you some configuration settings like search, Teams integration, Power Apps, Power Automate, environments, governance, licensing, help support setting, GCC commercial settings, and other things, right? Now, I'll just give you a simple example. Like, say, if I want to disable the newsletter send out, what we need to do, we need to first construct a command, right? Now, the command is basically simple: set dash tenant settings. So, set dash tenant settings, you just need to write the command set dash tenant settings, and you just need to pass a request body, right? This is a simple command. You just want to pass a request body and dollar request body. Now this is a variable, right? Now we need to define this variable request body. Now request body variable, before you even run this command, you need to define this variable. So what, let's define this variable. Now how do you define this variable is in PowerShell is you just say dollar request body equal to. So this is how we are defining a variable. Put an at the rate sign, open and close curly braces, right? And between this curly braces, you need to select what you want. So what I want is I want disable newsletter send out to be true. Okay. So I'll just come here and I'll try to paste this over here. Disable newsletter sent out equal to, don't just say equal to true. Okay. Now it is false, we need to make it true. You can't just write true, you need to use of a variable token and then put equal to dollar true, right? So this is how you basically set the request body. So what I'm done, I've just executed this command, all good. Now I'm going to use that same command which I typed in earlier, set dash tenant settings. So set that dash tenant settings, and the tenant settings dash request body, and I'm going to make use of this variable dollar request body. Once you're done with that, just click on just enter, and this command is executed. Now it will also show you what you have made the change. Now what we have done, we have put disable newsletter send out as true, and now it is marked as true. Earlier disable newsletter send out was false. So like this we can enable or disable other things. Now you might be irritated by sometimes when you open Power Apps, you are given a survey, or you are given a form for filling out information on how do you like Power Platform or Power Apps, right? You can also disable those kind of servers as well. I would highly advise not to do that, but there is a like a command over here through which you can disable the newsletter send out, you can disable nps comments reach out. So all these things can be done as a part of Power Platform, Power Apps, PowerShell. So that's it, folks. This is all about get and set tenant settings within Power Apps, PowerShell. Thanks for watching.